Welcome to the Rube Report, a weekly in-depth look at Astoria High School sports with Athletic Director Howard Rube. The Rube Report is brought to you by Northwest Lending Group. It's time to hit the ground running. Here's your host, Coach Howard Rube.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Rube Report. This is Howard Rube, Athletic Director and Head Football Coach of your Astoria High Fighting Fishermen. Very excited to be with you on this Thursday afternoon as we will be talking all AHS athletics. I'll be joined by Mr. Dane Gouge, owner-operator of Astoria Ford and voice of the fishermen, as well as at least one, if not two, of our senior football captains. We have a great show planned, so please stay with us. Welcome back to the Rube Report, and we have made an executive decision. We are going to do our live reads of commercials for our sponsors after the next break.
You never have to announce that. They're just going to find it out when they get to the next break.
I know, but it's like how long we've been doing the show, and it's a big deal to me because it's different.
Executive decision.
It was a big
Rube Report. Let it be known throughout the land. This is what we're going to do.
The sponsor will be mentioned.
They will be mentioned a lot.
Well, I think it's a big deal to our listeners, I should say.
Thanks, Kenny.
That they expect you to do a jingle after the opening break, and there's no jingle now till the next break.
Okay, it's fine.
Anticipation's good.
We'll roll on.
We are going to roll on. And in rolling on, what do you want to talk about first in terms of executive decisions? That brilliant call deep in our own end that ended up giving them the go-ahead score with just under 3 minutes to play, or
was that your call?
Well, everything is my call when you're the head football coach. You get to own it. You get to own all of it.
I know this. I know Sean McNabb, the coach of the Scappoose Indians, pulled out all the stops. He had all kinds of stuff going on, and he did the double reverse pass to the end zone.
Yeah, we were a little...
Now, I will not tease you anymore about the double reverse. So I saw the double reverse pass.
Well, and it actually...
Crazy.
Well, it was great because for them it worked. So
Yeah.
It was awesome. It was a great call.
Yeah.
And that actually was a good 2-point call that they made. And they ran a reverse on a kickoff, as I recall.
They had all kinds of...
They were
doing anything they could.
Everything and all that they could. And
still could not stop the mighty fishermen.
Woo!
Quad League champs.
We feel good about that. We feel fortunate to have gotten the win. I thought our kids showed a lot of resiliency playing to the end. And in all honesty, it's unfortunate that we gave up the lead late on an offensive possession because defensively we had a pretty solid game. Anytime you can hold down the Indians to just 2 offensive touchdowns, you're having a pretty good night defensively. And in fact, the one score they had with their running quarterback, the junior, got loose. Really, we had guys kind of falling asleep at the wheel. Even when you watch the film, they were in position to maybe make a play, and I don't know if they thought the play had been whistled dead or what. But
yeah, that was a crazy play. It looked like he just ran into a mob, and then he popped out, and it was on the run, and everybody was kind of going the other way when he got loose.
Right, and minus that one play, I would say you could not have played much better defensively than we did. Obviously, having to go back a second day and play 2 days in a row is pretty bizarre. And
I don't know if that's ever happened before.
Well, I don't think for Astoria football. Maybe way back in
1938? Oh, no, they didn't have lights in.
No, it did.
They bring the cars out and park them on the hill?
Something did occur, I want to say, in Klatsk they were saying, I think when Coach O'Brien was playing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that would have been late 80s, early 90s. And
if people don't know, Friday night when we were out playing, the lights went off because someone hit a pole.
Yeah, there was a car accident involved a power pole, and half of Scappoose, including the stadium, lost electricity.
For an hour and a half, is what they told me.
Yep, it was down for about 90 minutes. You only have 60 minutes for it to come back on to be able to continue where you're at by OSA policy. And to be honest with you, after even just waiting a half hour, it would have been, in some ways, it would have seemed to have been hard to get going again. But
oh, definitely. I think that was the sluggish start that the Fish had was you have to go home on the bus, like the game's over. You spent almost as much time as you would have if you played the whole game. and then turn around in the morning, get ready, and get back on the bus and do it again.
Yeah, it was really bizarre. And again, I commend our guys and our coaches for really, I think the best word is resiliency. Because we were, pretty jacked up, I'll use that term, I guess, to go out and win the title Friday night. And early on in that first quarter, after 8 minutes, even though the score was still 0-0, we kind of felt like we were in control of the game.
Right.
Both of their two offensive possessions, resulted in immediate punts. They weren't able to get a first down. They went 3 and out on both possessions. The second one, I think they even went backwards on before they punted. And, we missed a field goal on our opening drive, which was unfortunate. But then, we were in the red zone. Our last play Friday night was a 1st and 10 from the 20 going in. And of course, that's how we started again, 2nd and 20, because we had an incomplete pass. And after the incomplete pass, the lights went out, so we started 2nd and 20 with, I think, about 4:11 on the clock on Saturday.
Right. Now, I had a question for you. Because of the high school rules, when you miss that field goal and you're on the 4, the ball gets moved back out to the 20.
Yes.
Do you think it would be better served to go for it? I know you got to put points on the board. And there was no score at that time.
On our second,
say if you would have got to the 1 and not made it in, wouldn't they have been at the 1?
Yeah, but the reality of it is, especially there in the first quarter, the way we handled them defensively, and the fact that we had all the momentum. And in a game of that magnitude, I just wanted to get points, especially on the road.
That's the reason I asked, because the defense was so dominant in the first half.
Those first two possessions.
So if they would have got the ball even on the 4, that would have really put them in a bind.
I will be honest with you, and I never really think negatively, in a contest. Like, you never call a play and say, boy, I hope we don't fumble on this play. I mean, that's not any part of the mindset. But part of my mindset in that moment was, I want to get points. I don't want to risk them getting a big play and getting momentum. The last thing, and they were very capable. Their senior quarterback is a very good passer. On film, they've been able to score a lot of points via the big play through the air, and then they have the junior quarterback who runs for big plays. So the last thing I wanted in that moment on Friday night was to just give them the ball, and for some reason, they do hit a big play and now have a bunch of momentum and the field position change in that way. So I can tell you, though, it changed on I guess my mindset really didn't change on the second possession.
Right.
Again, I wanted points. And we had some discussion about it. I had a couple of my assistants saying, Coach, we need to go for it this time. And I just have been in enough big games that every point counts. And
every point did count. So.
And those 3 points ended up being the difference in the game. So I guess even hindsight 2020, we can say that.
I'm not questioning your coaching.
No, I didn't. I thought it was a good question.
Thanks.
It was a very good question. And the mindset was every point's going to count. Let's get points if we have an opportunity to get points.
Now, if I'm like Jordan, when he gets interviewed, I'll ask the same question again in a different form.
Oh, you're referring to. So what Dave's referring to is AHS alum Jordan Poyer, who I know we talked about last week about him being injured a couple weeks ago in a game on a really blatantly unsportsmanlike hit. He was blindsided, and it's most likely ended his season. And he was just recently interviewed about that, and it was a 16-minute interview, and a lot of the questions were just a rewording of a different way. And
I had to turn it off. I'm like,
I thought he did a great job handling
earlier
himself.
When we started, and that guy over there asked the same question?
Yeah, just a little bit differently. But he did handle himself very well, and I think if fans wanted to YouTube or just search Jordan Poyer interview, it would come up. But he did a great job handling some difficult questions about a season-ending injury. So what's next? What do you want to talk about now?
We better take a break and get these kids on.
All right, we will come. We will come back with at least one, if not two, football captains. Welcome back to the Rube Report. We'd like to thank our title sponsor, the Northwest Lending Group. The Northwest Lending Group has been helping Clatsop County residents achieve their dream of homeownership since 1992. Greg has a full range of mortgage products. Please give him a call in Astoria for a no-pressure talk about your home financing needs. Greg can be reached at 503-325-4116. Again, that's 503-325-4116. And we have another participating sponsor of the show, Joe's Mobile.
Fuel and snacks and people you know. Joe's Mobile is the place to go.
Is that you and Sean?
Yeah.
Sean is the producer of the show.
And he produced that. It was awesome.
That was great. I'm sure you'll hear from Joe.
Joe's already heard it.
You already
I sent it to him.
You sent it to him?
Yeah.
And he liked it?
Yeah, of course. He didn't cancel his sponsorship.
There you go. Well, now that we've thanked a couple of our sponsors, let's bring in a couple of our captains. I have Kyle Strange with us, senior captain, and he's very shy and bashful. We might convince him to at least say hi to his mom before we get out of here this afternoon, but I also have senior captain Tyler Linkstad with us. And welcome, gentlemen. So, Kyle, obviously it's been a tough few weeks for you since the tackle to end the half at Tillamook, where literally your femur was broken in two. And, one of the more gruesome scenes on a football field in terms of the injury and your pain threshold, and just a tough scene. I know a lot of our football fans will be curious to hear how you are doing because they know how tough that has been.
No, I'm doing real good actually. I've been progressing each day, and my range of motion and my spirits actually have been pretty high. So each day I keep getting better, and I'm just happy I can still be part of the team and go out there and try and encourage people and make people work hard.
Yeah, you and Cole have done a great job being on the sidelines and helping out and supporting. It's got to be tough when you're not out there playing, but, I mean, you're there for the guys, and you're part of the team. And, I mean, without you guys both being there, you might not be Co-op League champions. So it's nice to...
No, yeah, and that was big, too. I mean, when Ole scored that touchdown, that was a pretty big moment too. I looked at Madison, and Coach Madison gave me a hug, picked me up, and threw my crutches. That was a big moment for me, and just to still be a part of this team, it means a lot. And I still enjoy going to practice and showing my face, so that's good.
Do you find yourself helping out the other receivers, the young guys, getting out there and
I don't know. I don't really know how to. I can't just go up to someone and tell them. I don't feel comfortable doing that, so
about as comfortable as Tyler is being on the radio.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think that's not my job. I think that's more of a coach's standpoint, just to tell something like that.
Cool.
But I do think you mentioned Dane. Maybe have mentioned Cole Olson, our other senior, who had a season-ending injury a few weeks ago. It has been inspirational to your teammates that you are still around and that you're part of it. You mentioned Ole catching the ball and scoring with 11 seconds left to win the game last
otherwise known as
Saturday.
The catch.
That's what it's being referred to as the catch.
Nice. That was a catch in the bulldozer. He ran that kid over.
Yeah.
Dude.
He showed a lot of resiliency. The ball was caught around the 5-yard line and literally did run over the defensive back
and then
for the Indians.
Sprawled out for the cone.
Got the ball to hit the pylon, and luckily the official saw that right, and we were given the touchdown with 11 seconds left, and it was pretty much pandemonium.
There was a lot of great plays.
It was, the fourth quarter was a pretty entertaining fourth quarter. And it was weird starting that game, as we talked before the break. Coming back and starting 2nd and 20, and it already being 8 minutes into the first quarter. I felt like both teams were pretty sluggish, almost moving in slow motion, it seemed like, for the majority of that first half on Saturday once we resumed. But then the second half, I felt like both teams kind of got a little bit of their wind back, and it looked more like the type of ball that both teams are used to playing. And obviously we have tremendous amount of respect for their program. You know, they defending Coapa League champs. They were in the state championship game a year ago, and you know, when I first got here 17 years ago, they had just my first year was their first year of a 3-year run where, you know, they had won 30-some odd straight games and 3 consecutive state titles. So they've always been the benchmark.
Big.
It was huge. I mean, that's crazy. You haven't seen anybody do anything like that since.
No, the closest is Marist winning 4A and then going to 5A and winning.
Exactly.
But they weren't there the third year.
Right.
So it's tough.
Yeah, no, and so they've always kind of been the benchmark since I've been here, and really, I won't lie, a lot of the goals I have for our program are based on, you know, even bettering some of the things they were able to do when I first got here 17 years ago. So and it's the same head coaches. Sean and I have been going at this a long time. He actually started as head coach just 1 year before I got here. And so there are not a lot of secrets through competition. We've actually become pretty good friends. I'm referring to Sean McNabb, their head coach. And so it's become a pretty good high school rivalry through the years. And between the power outage and then, you know, their late score and then us scoring, coming back with a great 2-minute drive to score with 11 seconds left, just kind of adds to the lore of that rivalry.
So I'm going to ask Kyle, in your years of playing, which team in the Coapa League do you find, like yourself, which one do you want to beat up real bad?
I mean,
you want to win all of them.
Yeah,
I understand that.
I mean, definitely the local one is definitely Seaside, but I mean, we also have a pretty big rivalry between Banks and Scappoose, and I know athletically wise, they've always produced good athletic teams in football, baseball, and basketball. They're always competitive. So I mean, I look at either Seaside, Banks, or Scappoose. I mean, they're all big games, and
right.
Coaches all hype it up to we got to win this game. This is a big game.
Yeah. Well, I see Seaside's been up and down.
Well, in football, so like with basketball, that has regenerated the basketball rivalry because Seaside's been very good in basketball the last few years. We've been able to dominate in baseball, and for the most part in football, when Coach Roberts, who is now their building principal, had 4 years there, they've had a pretty good run. We had a lot of competitive games, and so that helped kind of refuel the rivalry between us and Seaside, at least on the football field. And but you know, from my standpoint, especially in the last 10 years, competitively across the board, all 3 major men's team sports, football, basketball, baseball, it's always kind of come down normally between the Fishermen, the Indians, and the Braves. And
right.
And
that's how I feel too.
And with regard to football, specifically with regard to football, what's real interesting is all of the head coaches have been going at it against each other for 17 years. And then also, you know, with Banks, you factor in the fact that we played them for the state title in football 8 years ago. In fact, I'm getting text messages from those coaches. They hope to see us again in the playoffs. They'd like another shot at us because they, you know.
I'm sure Cole does.
Well, Coach Linehan, their new head coach, who was an assistant here right out of his college playing days with the Oregon Ducks, certainly would love to have another shot at us.
Yeah, I texted him right after the game. We won. He goes, "I've been watching your feed."
Oh, really?
Go.
You better say good things about him.
Password in there.
Well, we know today's show has predominantly been about AHS football. We appreciate our fans and listeners for letting us talk about our season. When we come back next week, we will break down the entire fall season for all of AHS athletics. Our fall awards night for all of our teams is scheduled for Thursday, November 10th. So we have a lot to talk about as our fall season winds up, and the winter season will begin officially with practices for our winter teams on Monday, November 14th. And before we get out of here, I want to thank Kyle for coming in and joining us as a special guest.
Yeah,
I will thank Tyler as well, even though he was a little shy and bashful today. But thank you, Tyler.
Your mom's gonna be so disappointed. Just say hi, Mom.
Hey, Felicia, I'll say hi for you. Tyler says hi.
Good job, buddy. Do we know who we're playing in the?
We won't know until the weekend. after all the playing around games are completed. So it doesn't even make sense to try to guess because it's just
always fun.
It's a grab bag. It could be any of those 16 teams.
We could play one of these 16 teams.
We could play one of these 16 teams, but it will be a home game, either Friday, November 4th or Saturday, November 5th. And, obviously our guys will be jacked up and ready to go, I'm sure, as, we want to see.
But it will be at the Fishbowl.
Yep.
It'll be definitely at the Fishbowl at CMH Field. And as I was starting to say, we want to see how far we can take this thing. We feel real good about our year, and we certainly want to finish it in as best way as humanly possible. So,
right on.
Also, real quick before I go, I want to thank our other sponsors of the show, Pacific Power, P&L Johnson, Van Dusen Beverages, the Ohana Media Group, PNC Construction, Clatsop Distributing, and just everybody for tuning in and watching on the YouTube, which is on AstoriaFord.net. That website, Dane's website for the business, and certainly for everybody for all their support throughout the year. And we're going to try to keep this thing rolling.
This has been the Rube Report, a weekly look at Astoria High School fishermen sports with Athletic Director Howard Rube. The Rube Report is brought to you by Northwest Lending Group. Tune in next Thursday at 12:30 p.m. for the latest Astoria High School sports headlines on Cast 1370. News and talk for the coast.